everyone, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. I'm Emily from Emily's Art Journey. I'm so happy that you're here, and I'm super excited because the solstice is today and the marigold is strongly associated with the sun. So I thought, what better day than to go ahead and draw and paint this beautiful marigold. This is from our little garden, so we're gonna loosely, obviously, kind of interpret. We're just gonna probably do this one. Maybe we'll throw this one in and just kind of put some greenery and stuff. We're not gonna do exactly like this, but I hope that you'll come along with me. I'm gonna break it down, so hopefully it makes sense and it's simplified for you. And for me, as always, I'm gonna be using my 2H pencil. So it's gonna be it's a harder lead, so it's gonna probably be a little bit lighter, but I'll make sure you can see what I'm doing. And then I also have my Mono Zero eraser, and then my Knead eraser, which I love so much. So, and then I am drawing and painting on 100% cotton paper, cold press, so it has a bit of a tooth to it. And then I have washi tape as my border because I just think that's fun. I might have a problem with washi tape. Don't tell anyone. So, all right, we're just gonna kind of just dive right in. I'm gonna try to go ahead and put the painting in this video too, so I don't want to rush, but I want to make sure that it doesn't last 5 hours. So let's just get started. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. So the easiest way, I think, to break it down is creating however big you want it to be. I'll make it fairly big. We probably will do both of those. So I'm gonna kind of create a circle. I will switch to my other pencil, that way you can see it better. So a loose circle. And then we'll kind of do one up here, but it's more of like an oval, which you can't see. There we go. Okay. But we'll start with this flower right here. Then, so this isn't dead center, what would kind of be the center part. So we're gonna put another circle, but it's gonna be raised up a little higher, closer to the top. We're just gonna kind of map in a guide for ourselves. So kind of put that up a little bit higher instead of dead center. And then you can kind of draw like kind of spokes like a bicycle, and this is just to kind of help you with the directionality of the petals. I'm just going to kind of start putting in, they're like I said, they're all going to kind of go a little bit different directions. I'm just kind of putting in basically some little ovals. Some will be bent a little bit, and I want some to face this way, some to face this way, some to face down, and some to face up. So that's kind of what we're doing here. Again, I'm not really thinking about it too much because it doesn't need to be exact. Have a couple kind of sticking out more. Have this one kind of bent a little bit. You can kind of fill some in the center. Do a little partial one so it looks like it's behind. I think marigolds are so pretty. They don't always grow really easily though. I've had several die this year. A couple of them weren't doing very well, so I just put a whole bunch of them in one pot, and I was like, it's up to you if you live or die. Some actually are, I think, fighting. I have a couple in my garden that are doing well. These are actually in a pot and they seem to be doing fairly decent, so we shall see. Okay, so we'll just kind of have this be the center, just this part right here. And then we're gonna start kind of building out our petals here. In the back, they're gonna be a little bit shorter. They wouldn't be as long as what you would see here since it's kind of facing towards us a little bit. So I'm just gonna go in, and again, I'm gonna kind of use the spokes to kind of guide me with the directionality. So I'm just going to start kind of popping some irregular shapes. They're kind of bumpy. Some of them are a little square, some of them are kind of rounded, some are kind of jaggedy. And you can kind of like readjust after you put some in. We can throw a couple in just regular shapes, just to kind of put in. We can go back in and really give it the shape we want. We can just kind of pencil in some right here just as little placeholders, so we can see kind of where we're at. Pop in a little one here. There, and then we can have one kind of there. And then we can go back in and kind of give them a little bit more of a shape. And you see how the directionality changes depending on what side I'm on. Got that one done, I think. Now we will draw this little guy here. And I'm gonna go ahead and this one, it just has a few petals up here, so I'm gonna put the center of it about right here. And I'm just gonna mark in loosely, kind of like what we did before, where I want the petals to go. So I'm just giving myself a little bit of a road map first. Sketching those in a little bit. Are you enjoying this series so far? Is there a plant that you have in your yard or your garden that you really like, that you would request maybe a drawing of, and I can see if I have one, or can post it on Instagram and tag me, and I could draw one of your plants too if you wanted to do that. Hopefully you're learning a few things and enjoying yourself, and kind of seeing how to, loosely paint some flowers and some plants. I know I'm having a fun time, and I'm learning a lot myself. It's always good to push yourself kind of outside your comfort zone, try new things. I've drawn quite a few flowers in my day, but this is not a lot of the flowers that I'm drawing for this series, so it's been really cool to push myself and to learn some new stuff. We're gonna pop in some leaves. We're not gonna do exactly like these. I mean, we'll you know, try to mimic the actual leaves, but we're gonna change the placement just to make it kind of fit more on the paper. So I think I'm gonna, and you can always like turn your paper if that helps with your directionality. So if you want it to be kind of more like this coming out of here, then you can turn your paper so you could see it. So it's a straight line, and then the leaves are, I don't draw in the jaggedy part yet. I usually will add that with the paint later, but I'm gonna loosely kind of sketch them in. They're kind of like, it's kind of like a rainbow and then another rainbow. It's skinny here when it touches the stem. You can have them go a little bit of different directions. Like you could actually have one kind of going up. They're staggered a little bit as well. So they're like, here's one, and then kind of pop one up here at the top. And I'm just going to kind of place just randomly some that would be just kind of behind. Okay. Zoom back out a little bit again. I'm going to take a minute to erase like my circle lines and any other lines that I don't like or that I want just to take out. Maybe take a second to just define any areas that I want. So I'll do that. One thing to remember, again, especially if you're using the cold pressed paper with a little bit of a tooth, you don't want to just be really hard when you erase, so it doesn't mess up the paper a little, so that the paint doesn't behave how you'll want it to. So if you use a little eraser like this, you just want to be kind of gentle. Okay, welcome to part 2 of our marigold. I am super excited that we're painting this in honor of the summer solstice, the longest day of the year, and celebrating the sun. And marigold has super strong ties to the sun, so I thought this would be a great flower to paint right now. So I'm gonna jump right in. I will tell you the paints we're gonna use, and the set I'm gonna use is a Schminky palette. It is a complete disaster, but this is my palette, and I may use some metallic paint. I'm not sure. This is the brand. I have no idea how to say it, but I will link everything in the description box as always. These are the brushes I have out. I don't know for sure which ones I'll use, and I may actually grab one larger one, but this is a Polina Bright size 1 and a Polina Bright size 0. And then my Princeton Velvet Touch 6-inch round. And my Princeton 16, which I may use for some of the background. So here's our reference. I loosely followed it. I did make it a little bigger and added a few more petals, but this is the idea here. So these are the colors I'm going to use for this painting. This is chromium yellow, cadmium orange, cadmium red light, Venetian red, May green, phthalo green, and a dark green. So these we'll be using for the foliage and stuff, and then these we'll use for the flowers. So let's just dive in. I believe for this one we're going to start by getting the entire flower wet. Let me zoom in for you. Go. So I'm going to get my brush wet. And I'm just going to go straight in and kind of try to stay within the boundaries of the petals. And remember how we want to hold our brush. The tip goes along the edge that we want to stay kind of inside of. I'm not getting the leaves wet, just the petals. Then I'm going to go ahead and switch to my number 1 Polina Bright. And I'm going to go in. I'm just going to kind of dab some of that in the center. And then maybe just a little bit kind of where the underneath part of a petal would be, just to kind of start creating a shadow a little bit. So I learned some fun facts about marigolds. They actually possess a very wide range of medicinal properties. I guess they're full of antioxidants, and they help in reducing inflammation, which I thought was kind of neat. If you use a high quality organic marigold, you can make a tea. I think you can even make tinctures or lotions and things to help with inflammation and even like skin issues. But if you drink the tea, it's actually used for digestive support, eye health, menstrual health, and it can even give you a bit of an immune boost, which I thought was super interesting. So I'm like, oh, what a great flower. As I said before, I'm really excited we're painting this to kind of honor the solstice. All right, so I've got both of those done, and now I'm going to dry this, and I will be right back. So this is dry now. One way to tell if your painting is dry all the way is if it's cool to the touch. It's probably still a little bit damp. Just a little side note for you. And I did go ahead and actually put a clip in a couple spots because your paper will warp depending on what kind of paper it is and how much water you're using. So since we're going to do a little bit more wet on wet for the background and stuff, I went ahead and clipped it down. So we're going to go in with wet paint on dry paper. So we're not going to get it wet again right now. And I've got my 0 round. I'll start with that one. And I'm going to go in now and I'm going to kind of darken some of the little areas. Right now I'm still just sticking with the, I think it's chromium yellow. And I'm just gonna pop in a couple of little spots to make them so they're not flat. I don't mind having a little bit of like a jaggy line because it seems like, I mean, it's not just the flower isn't just super smooth. So I think it just adds a little bit of interest and some texture. If you want it to be a little bit softer edge, you just get a damp clean brush, and then you can just kind of go along that edge there and soften it up if you want. Actually going to switch to, I didn't tell you about this one, but I had it off to the side. It's a number 3 round, so I'm going to switch to that one just to get into some of these smaller areas. But this time the color I'm going to use is that cadmium orange, and it also is a creamy consistency. So I got my brush loaded up, and then just I'm going to dab off a little bit. Another thing, I always have a piece of paper next to me so I can test, like, that actually is not as creamy as I want it to be. So I'm going to grab a little bit more. And now I'm going to go in and paint some of these little guys with that cadmium orange. Okay, now I'm going to jump back over here. And I'm going to just pick a few. I'm not going to put it in all of the petals. And I'm going to basically start putting in a little bit of texture where I'm going to kind of put some little lines in as I work my way to the outside of the petal. You can give them some directionality, so you, like, I'll go here right up against that other petal because it is behind. Let me zoom back in a little bit. There we go. This is a very sketchy, I use that word too much, a very loose painting. And then we can put in just a few little directional lines. up to this little guy here and do the exact same thing. Just add a little bit of that cadmium orange. Go in with a little bit of that cadmium red light. I may actually mix, I think I'm going to mix a little bit of the cadmium orange and that cadmium red light together, so it's not such a jump. All right, so I mix those two colors together. It's a fairly creamy consistency. And now I'm going to go in just a few places for these kind of darker spots. And I'm actually going to switch to an even smaller brush. This is a number 1 round Princeton brush, just so I can have a little bit more control. As I've said in previous videos, I'm a loose painter where I just kind of zen out, just enjoy the process, and I don't really overthink too much, which is probably one of the reasons I really love artwork and painting. It gives me a chance to just kind of get lost in the process and out of my own head. Also got a mixture of the cadmium red light, a little bit of cadmium orange, and then a little bit of that Venetian red that I'm going to also go in with just to deepen some of the areas at the same time. Can go back in with that original yellow color kind of on the ends, kind of help blend those together. So I'm putting down a little bit of the cadmium orange first, and then I'm going to put a little bit more of that yellow. And that's just going to help everything diffuse naturally, my favorite word apparently. of just going back and forth with all the different paints. Putting some in, softening it up a little bit, but kind of getting the petal a little bit wet again for right now. So when I put in that other color, it's kind of softer. Getting different areas of the petal darker, sometimes on the edges more, sometimes towards the center, just to give a little bit of variety. Definitely like to pop in a little bit of darker color right under where a petal would be literally underneath another one, because it would cast a shadow, so it gives it a little bit more dimension. It's always good when you're painting or drawing or anything to take a step back, kind of look at it from a distance sometimes, or if you're like struggling or something's bothering you, sometimes I'll wait until the next day and look at it with very fresh eyes, or just take a nice break to see what it is that isn't working for me. Okay, I think we're gonna go ahead and start in with a little bit of the background and kind of take a break on those for just a little bit. All right, I'm gonna tackle this by getting the background wet, kind of in sections. I'm gonna have it not be a solid background, but we're just gonna go around the petals. I'm gonna go straight over the leaves for right now. I'm just gonna go right up next to those petals with some water. Just kind of going out a little bit. And then I'm gonna get some of the May green to start with. And I'm just gonna start putting some of that down. I'm just kind of smushing my brush wherever I've put that water. And then I can rinse it out and just go on the edge with just some clean water. And then it will give you a nice, just not a super solid outline. And then I've mixed a little bit of the phthalo green with the May green. And I'm just gonna put a little bit of that in as well. Just a little bit. Pick some of that up actually. Okay, and I'm just going to keep working my way around. I don't mind if I have a little bit of green in my brush, since that's the color I'm going to use anyway. Dry, and I'm gonna go in with those greens. And I think I'm gonna start with my 6-inch round. And I'm gonna mix the phthalo green, the May green, and even a little bit of that dark green. I'm going to mix all those together. And I'm going to put even a little bit of that Venetian red, just a little bit, to make it so that the green's not so crazy vibrant. Adding a little bit of red to your green can make it look a little bit more natural. It's a creamy consistency. And I'm gonna go in, and I'm just gonna kind of Put some of those leaves in. I'm not going to outline. I'm actually going to put a few little, they have little, they're kind of spiny too. You can just get some paint, push down, lift up. While it's still wet, you can drop in a little bit more color. Go in with a little bit of just the first yellow that we started with. And I'm going to start with a one round Princeton Art and Brush Company. Now I'm going to go back into those leaves with a little bit of a darker mixture. And I'm going to put in like the center vein. I'm not pushing down very hard so that I don't get a really fat line. I'm gonna do this one more illustrative. I feel like this painting could lend itself to that. So I have a 0.2 liner brush or a liner pen. And I'm just gonna go around and not draw a hard line. It's more of like a broken line instead of doing it hard like that. I'm just going around adding that just broken line basically, just to add a little bit of definition. So here is our illustrative marigolds, and I'm so happy that you decided to join me and come along for this painting. I want to wish you a very happy summer solstice, and I hope that you will join me as I continue this series. Have a absolutely great day or night, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks again so much. Bye.